and today I'm going to talk about the solar flare episode.
Hello.
X1.8. It happened on Simonetta's birthday, 26th of October.
Oops.
What happened, Simonetta?
Well, we were happily in the garden, enjoying the sunshine. It was a beautiful, beautiful day. And I think that you took a little bit too much sun.
Yeah, that's true. Even if it was October. And also another thing happened. Something arrived in the post, which was Tamanu, was it?
Tamanu oil, I think it was.
Yeah, from South America somewhere.
It's a very potent cream used by psoriasis sufferers like myself.
Yeah, and I tried some on my face.
And
Next thing I knew, the next day, my face was all red. Red.
well, we don't know if it was red, but
It was red.
no,
I do know it was red.
if it was the oil, but
The oil or the sun.
yeah.
Well, you won't think there's anything about that, but it was all puffed up as well for a
Yeah,
month.
you got a photo to prove it.
And my immune system, which was not totally calibrated, because when you have a stroke, the immune system is a dialogue between the immune system and your brain. If your brain is you've had a stroke, it's slightly, what's the word? Slightly on edge. I don't know what the right word is in simple terms.
Disconnected?
Yeah, a little bit. And the immune system really is totally miscalibrated and doesn't know what's going on. So my immune system was panicking for a while. Pure panic. Didn't know what to make of the sun. And just went red and puffed up for a month. And I was taking antihistamine tablets. I was taking everything I could find for it and changing my diet, not to aggravate it in any way.
Oh yes, all foods which were, non-histamine,
Yeah,
basically,
yeah,
non-loaded with histamines.
yeah, try not to aggravate it. So this flaring of my face, it kind of went up and down a little bit. And it was when I first started seeing my psychologist, but it did last a whole full month. And I remember talking to Arjun Kuipers on a Zoom meeting we had about something quite different. And he noticed my red face and said, "Hey, you got the sun there," or something. But he knew immediately it was due to an immune system that was miscalibrated. And I hadn't really worked that out yet. I was trying to work it out. My immune system was trying to work it out. He had already worked it out and said, definitely, your immune system after stroke, not properly calibrated, or something like that, we could say. Now, what's a solar flare?
Yeah, well, I can feel some solar flare on my face at the moment, but it's just the sun.
Well, the most famous solar flare was in 1859, called the Carrington event. He was an astronomer, and we didn't know that much about the sun. Anyway, he observed these spots on the sun. Well, we call them sunspots. And he said, wait a minute, there's something going on here. Next thing we knew, the telegraph stations were all on fire. It was a huge event. There was a geomagnetic storm in the Earth's atmosphere, a huge disruption to anything electric, because it was not only a solar flare, a huge proportion, it was a CME, a coronal mass ejection, in which plasma, well, let's say plasma from the corona of the sun. The corona is the outer layer. And with a solar flare, you get an EM, electromagnetic disturbance in the Earth's atmosphere. Now, some people say with a strong EM event, a strong solar flare event, and this definitely was, anything in the X end of the scale is strong, they say that they get headaches and all sorts of things down here on Earth.
Is that possible?
Yes, I think we some people are very sensitive to this. You know, some people are sensitive to all sorts of things, even mobile phones. But so there was definitely something going on there.
And you didn't know about the solar flare at the time?
No, because I went and looked it up, and surely enough, it said there's been a massive solar flare. There was one on the 24th, which is a 3.3, and this was an X1.8. And wait, how come? How long were we in Kos? We'd just come back from Kos. No,
Yes.
well, we'd been back a month. But I didn't get sunburnt in Kos.
No, you didn't.
I mean, spent 2 weeks in Kos and I didn't get sunburnt. I'm back in the UK and boom, my face is all red for a month and puffed up.
And you have like an interest in astronomy, and so you feel very comfortable talking about such things like the sun and the planets and solar flares. And how often do these solar flares happen?
Well, there's a solar maximum this July 2025. So the solar maximum, yeah.
So
wait and see,
soon.
watch this space, yeah.
It will not be in the garden.
Well, the sun has a cycle every 11 years. The poles reverse, north and south pole, they flip, which also happens on the Earth, but definitely happens on the sun. And the solar max is, it probably was already in October, really ramping up a bit. But anyway, it's due July 2025, so expect some solar flares this July for sure. Maybe a little disruption here and there. The Northern Lights, you know, in the Carrington event, they had Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis, as far down as the Caribbean.
Oh.
So normally you don't get them in southern.
Wow.
You know, you only get them in northern places like.
So it must have been massive.
Yeah, they might like, what's it called, Norway. People go to Norway to watch these things.
Iceland. Yeah, an anomaly buster like yourself, because you had a string of anomalies, and every time you got one, you thoroughly look into it and study and research it in order to bust the anomaly.
Well, I've got to get out of, I had to get out of that situation, red face, puffed up face for a month. And I tell you one thing that helped is understanding what's going on, because I spoke to Arjan and he said, he noticed my face was all red. He said, what's going on with your face? And out of politeness, and I said, well, I don't know what's going on with my face. It's been red for a couple of weeks, still going. I told him what had happened. He said it's not surprising really, because the immune system is highly confused after a stroke and takes a long time for it to return to normal. So yes, a confused immune system. I say confused because the immune system works together with the brain. It's just trying to alert, protect the body of danger, and it's doing the best it can. And it did not know it was this Tamanu cream that I put on the face, or was it just too much sun? Which, I mean, we had come back from Kos for 2 weeks, so I was used to it.
And nothing had happened then? You had a flawless suntan?
Or, number 3, it was a solar flare that occurred on that day. 1.8 on the X scale, a solar flare, a significant solar flare. And so between those 3 elements, my immune system went crazy, went ape.
Yeah, and you know, like I was actually quite worried looking at your face, and but I was smiling, like trying to be reassuring.
I know. That's the only thing to do. Put up a brave face, say it's all normal, get people to stop panicking.
I couldn't say it was normal, because it would have been silly to say so.
I know, but then, you know, a little comment like, oh, today's not so bad, or, you know, and eventually our brain stops panicking. Guess what? Our immune system stops panicking, because they work together. It's the same with our sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system. You know, we can tap into one or the other, and with a little bit of discipline, a little bit of understanding, we can tap in to rest and restoration and recovery and relax. We can do this, but we have to put the effort in. We have to learn how to do it.
It's a very time consuming, and I guess that you put so much effort into it because you want to reclaim your life, and you're desperate to do so. And
fairly desperate, but I am starting to enjoy life a bit now.
oh, that's good.
It was a significant solar flare which creates geomagnetic storms on the Earth. It disrupts the electromagnetic balance. Let's say all our electronic devices may have a little glitch or two, and when that happens, and there are records of it, of the solar flare, photographs, records, videos. I like the story because it shows how the immune system, so our endocrine system, our body is one massive togetherness of brain, mind and body, all in one. They work together. They work like this. When we have pain, the brain has decided, I must create pain to warn this chap to be careful with his neck, for example. Don't move it too much, move it slowly. And that's what pain is doing, is protecting me. So the immune system is protecting us. If we're confused, scared, if we have cortisol running all the time, the whole system's on overload. No wonder autoimmune diseases crop up here and there, everywhere. Right.
Yes, definitely.
And I'm very curious. I've had a stroke and I struggle, but now that I'm getting better, I'm very, very curious about how did I overcome this? How did I overcome that anomaly? The solar flare anomaly, how did I overcome it? And part of it was understanding what had happened, and realizing that this thing isn't going to kill me, but my face is reacting to something. And once I decided, oh look, it really isn't a threat, and I think I've sort of understood a little bit about what might have happened, I start to calm down.
Yeah.
And I think the same will happen to you.
I hope so.
With the psoriasis, any autoimmune disease, the more you can identify, look, this came about due to stress. I remember what was going on at the time. You remember what was going on when you first got psoriasis. Well, lo and behold, stress messes up our whole immune system. Eventually the immune system attacks itself. We call it autoimmune disease. And really, it's actually take cortisol, which is our main hormone, fear hormone, stress hormone, let's say, which is activated. When people have asthma, what do they take? The inhaler when they have an attack, cortisol.
We do, yeah.
It strengthens them because their own cortisol is ineffective.
Okay.
Because the body has had to render it ineffective because it's switched on all the time. So therefore the body has to defend against your defenses. Your defenses switched on all the time. No, too much, the body says. It renders your own cortisol ineffective. So therefore you have to take an artificial cortisol for the asthma.
I see.
I mean, I don't think asthma is classed autoimmune, but we're close. We're getting close to it, you know. I mean, and that's what inflammation becomes. Inflammation all the time, plus stress, is too much, asking too much. So we have to find ways of switching ourselves off, lying down,
on the grass.
on the grass, next to some water. We have to make time.
In the sunshine.
Or, boom,
Or
explode and malfunction.